tricky with older kids. I understand it especially well in primary and intermediate. It's a little trickier in middle school in that I want them to already feel like they have something, and I don't want them to be kind of railroaded into just my one way of thinking. So when in middle school, it's a little trickier, but in the primary levels, I absolutely, completely, no questions about it, because that's the rudiments for them, so they don't have any prior experience, whereas the 7th and 8th graders should have a significant amount of experience already doing these things.
Okay, I think the powerful practice is going to benefit the entire school and the students. The students are going to see a difference in how the teacher is presenting the lesson and how they're interacting with each other, and it's just going to benefit everyone. There's going to be a set routine that the teachers use, and the kids are going to know the expectations, and hopefully teachers will feel comfortable once they are able to safe practice and learn more about it, and they can implement it in the classrooms.
The reservation I have is because I teach science, my gradual release doesn't actually happen all in one class period. I might have, and I do, where I'm modeling for them.
So on GRR, Susan?
I think it's something that we really need to look at and address, because I think it's something that we tend to do with automaticity. However, I think we could refine it a bit more.
That's a very
I believe the purposing is essential to the instruction. It's essential that the kids know where we're going, the directioning for the week, the purpose of the lesson.
Do you think that the collaboration and as far as second graders go will be beneficial?
I think it will be very beneficial that we're all on the same road, we're all on the same team, we're planning together for the children.
Okay.
So the purposing that we have done has helped a lot, but I think it was beneficial for my kindergartner students. It's very important that they understand exactly what they're learning and why they're learning it, but a lot of them were not able to really verbalize the purposing to us. Some students were, but then some students were not able to. But I think that it is most beneficial for me because it forces me to dig a little bit deeper into how I'm teaching the students. When I know the purpose, when I know why they need to learn it, then it forces me to go a different direction because I'm expecting what they're going to not get. And so it changed the way that I planned, and it changed the way that I presented it to them. I do have some students that were able to articulate what the purpose was, why we're doing it, and how they will know that they've learned it. And I also allow them to help me write a purpose, which is something that's a little bit different that I try to do. And again, a lot of them are not able to do it, but those 5 or 6 that are able to do it, then I allow them to do it with us.
A result of them being exposed to the powerful practice, did it change your instruction at all?
Okay. So I was trying to think, because I wrote down some notes before. So,
Okay.
Okay, so purposing the lesson, it has made me be more thoughtful when I'm doing my lesson plans, because I write down what I think the kids will say for the purpose, so I think of those first. But then when I'm going over the objective, then the students are the ones who tell the purposes. So, and then sometimes I might need to guide them there, but it's making me much more thoughtful about my lessons. The students, they're getting really good at the purposing with their answers and knowing why we're working on something, and they know that if we are working on something, that there is a purpose, that we're not doing anything in school without having a purpose, which I think is very important. Also, they also think about the future. So is this purpose going to be something that they will be doing later on in 2nd grade or in high school? And a lot of times they even talk about college, of how it might help them when they're in college also. So I think it's been a great thing for my class.
Good.
And I even asked them today about that, and they think that that it is also important that we're doing that and that they're doing better in class because they're thinking about why they're doing things.
Good.
So.
Thank you. Do this first, so I'll know to turn to you.
I think for me, it kind of helped me because it helped me stay in track, so I wouldn't go off into other things. Like I would tell the kids what I'm doing, and it lets me stay focused. Because sometimes the kids start saying something, and then next thing you know, I'm in something else totally different. So purposing the lesson keeps me focused. Okay, this is what we're working on, and you know. But getting the kids to retell me, the kindergartners, I'm having a hard time with that.
As for me, I'm very much in a similar boat as her. My kids, what they would do is they would just look at it and maybe repeat what they saw. I don't know for a fact that they actually were understanding in depth what we were talking about. They just knew, okay, well, today we are going to learn about, and they repeated it. I just don't know if they really understood what we were trying to learn. I'm hoping
So
they
you
did.
purposing throughout the lesson, at the beginning and at the end, you didn't feel it had any effect for them?
I don't know if they were repeating what I told them or if they actually clearly understood it just because they're so young. It's hard to know.
Could you tell them anything when you were assessing?
And the kids that always do good, they do good. And the kids that don't do good, they really didn't.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Anybody else? How did you see any difference with your children?
I think it helped them to stay on task, even me. But then again, you have all these little teachable moments that pop up where you tend to go off task a little bit, but you do that to make a point, I should say. But I say keeping them on task is what prevents them from going off track too much on what we're doing.
My kids in general, for the most part, I think it helped my kids, helped myself be more organized, and it provided the kids like a path as to what the lesson was going to be about. But then again, I also noticed that some kids might have an issue fully understanding what the purpose of the lesson was, and I thought about it, but in reality, I don't know if anyone in general can have a 100% understanding of the purposing for or of the lesson, because I tend to focus on, it was always stated on the board, the purpose, the objective, the purpose, the lesson, and everything. So I was guiding them through it, but I felt like some kids were a little bit off as soon as we started doing the individual part of the work. When we did it, the whole class discussion, I had good 97% of them paying attention. But when we got to the actual individual part of the lesson, that's when I noticed some kids were having difficulty. So I had to walk around and provide assistance, or I had to do some pre-tutoring with the kids who were already finished. But going back to the advantages of having that on the board, it helped me, it helped the kids be more organized, stay focused on the lesson, stay focused on what they were supposed to be learning. So.
Anybody else? Mariana, did you note anything different with the purposing?
Well, I've always in some way done purposing by telling the students why they're sitting there, try to get them to pay attention. But what I feel like this added more was like having to put the steps of how we're going to do it, the what, why, and how. And that helps keep the class organized. But I really didn't see a huge change when it comes to new topics, because when they're struggling to understand the new topic, they don't care why they're learning it without knowing the steps first. So, after after the unit, then we go, I mean, we always purpose for every lesson, but then we go back and at the end of the unit, once they understand how to do it, and through the extension activities, they can maybe understand why we're doing this.
Can I hear from you, Ms. Nara?
Some of the students can understand what is the reason we are doing this, the purposing, but and some of the other students help the students if they don't understand, and then help me focus on this in every lesson and help the students to focus.
Now, Mariana brings up a good point, you all, and I was kind of wondering this too. She was saying that she didn't see that much improvement in understanding the lesson, or perhaps even, did you see any effect on grades? Did you see anything that purposing did for students? Other than those things that you said, it helped you organize, helped give them an organized view of how and why and what you would be doing. But did it affect grades at all, or students' understanding at all? You can tell me the truth.
It's a difficult question to answer because if you base on observations and based on the grades themselves, sometimes it can make an impact on a positive note, or it could go the other way too. But what I think that she was trying to say was that the understanding of what was in the lesson, sometimes it became difficult to some of the kids in our classes because still language is it becomes an obstacle. That's the way the way I see things, the way I kind of observe. Now, anybody else could see things differently than I.
I just hope for me, the kids that already were doing well might have done a little better, but there wasn't a huge change, whereas the kids that were not doing very well, they really didn't do much.
They didn't pick up on purposing.
No, because they don't understand. Again, I'm in first grade, and a lot of not a lot, but there are kids that came into my classroom that are not reading. So for them, purposing is not even there when they can't even recognize letters. See what I'm saying? Like, their focus is trying to remember what the letter A looks like. So when you purpose something, they sit there and you can almost see like a blank look at them as they're repeating what everybody else is saying, but I'm not sure that they're understanding. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Okay. So, was it worth it? It meant nothing to you.
Well, it's you build it into your lesson anyway. It's it's a powerful practice that is actually built into your lesson. We were focusing on it. It allowed the kids to know why they were doing something, and it allowed them to see that disciplines were interconnected, that there was some overlap between math and science, or if reading was actually doing something similar, science was actually sort of complementing that, or vice versa. So the purposing actually did show them that there were not 4 different separate classes, but they were all teaching along the same lines.